Good day, each and everyone. My name is Ishmael from South Africa. This is going to be episode 5 of my story. Another day, another story. On the previous episode, I left off, telling you that my mother was then so much badly injured, and her hair was ripped off. My father was using his bare hands to kind of like rip off that afro. I can't imagine the pain that my mother was into. Yeah, it was very much difficult. It was heavy, and she was stoned very much badly. And then I think she stayed in the hospital for like a week or two. And by the time we knew, we had information that my mother was then hospitalized, and she was not in a good condition. She was in critical condition, basically. And you can imagine, as a child not used to that kind of environment, and that's why I'm saying this is to bring awareness to people that might be going through the same kind of situation with me. I was not used to the situation, to the conditions that I was starting to live in. And you can imagine going to school, not knowing whether your mother will survive, whatever that she went through or not. And then one day I came back from school, and my mother was back, guys. She was back. She was stitched all over the body. The hair was starting to grow a bit, but you could see that pieces of skin, were put together with the hair, but everything was starting to get back together, and yeah, she came back with some medication. I'm the one that was assisting my mother with, the medication stuff, making sure that I don't know around the globe what we call rub in South Africa. It's some ointment, or it's some thing that you apply to, like, the muscles that were kind of pulled or whatsoever. And I was doing all that for my mother. She would take off, and then I would, like, apply that thing around the body. Yes, and it happened that my father got arrested, and being a lady, I think, is quite difficult and complicated, because if you love somebody, you really love the person. And ladies forgive very much easily than us guys. That I remember my father, I think, stayed in prison for 6 months for that, and then we were all cool, and eventually he came out. He came back to the same house. My mother had forgiven him for everything that he had done, and life continued as normal. For like a month or so, my father was behaving very much normally. And after that, he actually started off, like, asking for money from my mother, because my mother would make a plan to kind of like get the money. She would do piece jobs. She would do anything to support us as the kids. But my dad will then make it any way possible to take everything away, from my mother, irregardless of whether the money was intended for the kids or what, but he would just be needing the money to go drink. So he started off, with the many fights, asking for money to go drink, and when there's no money to buy cigarette, he would just like beat everybody around. And I got the most beatings, and throughout the whole story that I'm telling right now, I never physically saw my mother being assaulted. I think it was just my luck that I didn't see that, but I could hear screams, because we were just in the house on the opposite side, and they were on the other house in the other house. So I didn't really see, my mother being beaten. Um, the guy disappeared for good because he was afraid that my father would, you know, cause big harm to him. He was well known for that. And my grandmother used to sell traditional alcohol. So the people would come there and drink, but people would not drink like peacefully like previously. People would drink and while being scared that if this man can just do, he was known for bad things. So one day, he went to the nearest tavern where he started a fight with another couple, and he was like beating. He went to go beat up the lady and the gentleman. They were having a fight, and then he had beaten them very much badly, and they were scared of him because he had a gun. That they opened a case against him. He got arrested, and he stayed again there for 3 months, and then he came back. He came back straight again to my mother's place, and he started a business to sell cannabis, dacha. And while he was doing so, he started it himself, but he wanted my mother to run it, and my mother was afraid of police. She was afraid that if she can be caught selling this thing, she's going to go to prison. And she had no choice, because with my father, it's either you do it or you die, if I can put it that way. So my mother took the risk to, sell the weed for him. And there were like always fights, like unnecessary fights, whereby my father just come back drunk, or he had smoked weed, and then we just start beating up my mom, just random thing. And sometime in that process, he then beat up my mom in a way that she ran away again, and he expected me to be selling the weed. And I mean, I took the responsibility because I was afraid. That guy was like a lion. When he walks by, you just want to run to the toilet, I'm telling you, because your stomach just starts doing things that you don't understand. And as child as I was, I took weed. They put it in small packets. They sell them for like 10 rands a packet or something like that. So they put he put a weed in like a bigger plastic, and he gave it to me to sell. So I could only sell when I'm back from school. So me being a child, I started selling weed. Like I took that whole pack and I put it somewhere behind the rock where I can just, when somebody wants weed, I can just run there and just take it and then come and give it to them and then get the money. When he comes back, I give him all the money. And then the next morning, because my mother is not there, he's taking off his frustrations off me. He asked me a question, where's my weed? I'm like, it's there, by the pig's kraal, if you can call it that way, and behind the rock. And then he said, let's go. I want you to show me. I was about to go to school. It was early in the morning. When I got there, he asked me a question. How stupid are you to put all this weed in one pack? Because when you're selling, everybody can see where you're pulling off these packs from. And if they go call the police will come and will come this and find this whole bunch here. Are you that stupid to not think that you have to put each pack of the weed on a different position, so that when they come and to where they've been directed to find the weed, they don't get anything? I'm like, Dad, but I'm too young to think about such a thing. And he started beating me up so badly. I was badly bruised, and then I was taken to the hospital. I didn't go to school, and he told me that if I get to the hospital and I tell them what happened, it's going to be the end of my life. and that's why I couldn't, tell them at the hospital what actually happened. And I stayed in the hospital for like a week. When I came back, I was behind with my schoolwork. At school, when they asked me what happened, I just told them I fell. And life, when I came back, my mother was back also, and the life carried on. So I'm gonna end this story here for this episode, and then I'm gonna carry on in the next episode. And I thank you so much for tuning in, guys. This getting hot and hot and hot, and I want to make sure that I put the plot, of the story, in a good way for you to follow, because sometimes I get puzzled. I don't know which one came first before which one, and I'm trying my best to try and remember and think and write things down so that when I tell you, I don't confuse myself and I don't confuse you. So I really thank you for tuning in, guys. See you in the next episode.